Our cover story tonight is a rather strange one. It's about monkey business between Sri Lanka and China. Did you know Sri Lanka is exporting 100,000 monkeys to China? Why? You are of course asking. One explanation is that it wants, through this transaction, to reduce its huge debt to China. Over $7 billion. We'll all know that Colombo does not have the $7 billion, but how exactly is Colombo going to help solve this gigantic problem by feeding monkeys to the dragon is the immediate question that arises. Well, let's just start with this. These are Toque Macaques. This species is found mainly in Sri Lanka. They are endangered and they feature on the red list of IUCN, what's called the International Union for Conservation of Nature. And like we've been saying, Sri Lanka is reportedly shipping 100,000 of these monkeys to China. The obvious question, of course, is what will China do with these monkeys? You know, 100,000 monkeys, it's a lot. Well, the official word is that the monkeys would be put in zoos. And how many zoos? Lankan media quoting the country's agriculture minister as saying that China has requested for these monkeys to be exhibited in Chinese zoos. Tell you what, zoos are a sad place for animals to be in, but China has 18 zoos and apparently 5,000 monkeys already in them. They don't need any more. But the fate of these ill-fated 100,000 monkeys is not to end up in zoos, but as specimens in labs. Chinese labs where they will be experimented upon, injected with drugs, pricked with needles. You see, China, like many countries, uses monkeys to test drugs, vaccines, cosmetics, etc. And as I speak, China desperately needs lab monkeys. You see, in 2020, when the Wuhan virus crossed borders and the world started talking about China's wet market, the wildlife business, China was forced to impose a ban on overseas wildlife trade to save face. And this in turn hurt the Chinese labs. In 2021, reports said China is running out of lab monkeys to experiment upon. In 2022, Chinese mouthpiece, the Global Times, reported that experimental monkeys have become a hot commodity in China. Not just that, the report went on to say that in the past 5 years, the prices of experimental monkeys have increased about 8 times in China, 8 times. Adding that the cost per primate has gone up to 150,000 yuan. That is over $21,000 per monkey. The good thing is China has a leverage on Sri Lanka, so it gets monkeys for free. And not everyone, by the way, in Sri Lanka is okay with this monkey business. The issue is dominating the public discourse. The executive director of Sri Lanka's Centre for Environmental Justice, Hemanta Vittanage, recently shared some startling facts. He told the people of Sri Lanka that as per the globally accepted criteria for the definition of zoos, there are just 18 zoos in China. And what's more, these zoos already have around 5,000 monkeys each. Basically, China's claim of exhibiting the Lankan monkeys does not make much sense. Naveen Dissanayake, a former minister, in fact, said these monkeys should, quote-unquote, only be sent abroad on exchange programs between zoos, and it is inhuman, knowing fully well that there is a great possibility that they will end up in labs and be subjected to torture. They are beautiful animals and have every right to live a full life roaming in their natural habitat. So the government of Sri Lanka is facing quite a strong opposition for its monkey business with China. One wonders, how did the thought of such a deal even come about? You see, for Colombo, shipping monkeys is a win-win situation. One, it gets to please China, repay a portion of its debt in kind. And two, it gets to get rid of the monkey menace. What's that about? Local media reporting that the population of monkeys in Sri Lanka has crossed 3 million. And these animals, by the way, have been terrorizing farmers. According to Lanka's agriculture minister, monkeys and giant squirrels destroy nearly 100 million coconuts each year, which amounts to a loss of nearly $19.3 million. Last year, in fact, Sri Lanka removed these monkeys from the protected list, allowing the farmers to kill them. And now Sri Lanka is planning to exile them. But here's something that you should be noting here. Sri Lankan law does not allow for the export of these monkeys, or for that matter, the export of any live animals. But the death-stricken country could be looking to make an exception for China, which, by the way, is rubbishing the very existence of such a deal. The Chinese embassy in Sri Lanka has put out this statement. It says the reports of monkeys being sent to China is disinformation at best, adding that the concerned government department is not aware of the request for monkeys. Well, it does not add up then that Lankan ministers are issuing public statements regarding this very deal. The country's transport minister recently clarified that the discussion for monkeys is not between the two governments, but between the government of Sri Lanka and a Chinese company. Which Chinese company? Probably some company supplying lab monkeys. But whatever this hush-hush monkey business is about, it is questionable on multiple levels: ethical, moral, and of course, let's not forget the cost of the Chinese lab experiments. Remember, the Wuhan virus began with one such experiment with bats. The next pandemic could involve monkeys. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.